everybody. How are you all doing for Friday afternoon? How exciting. Actually, it's Friday afternoon where we are here, but it could be Friday morning where you are, or Friday night, like Lauren, you're on Friday morning, aren't you?
I'm Friday morning.
So, people, today we doubled up. I thought, let's just go wild. Not just one interview, but bringing two people together. We're going to have a lot of fun. And let me just say, today it's all about well-being. It's all about the emotional connections. It's all about health, mental wellness, all those kind of things. And first of all, let me introduce you to Lauran, because Lauran, we've met quite a few months ago in one of those kind of networking events, didn't we? And
Yes.
It just went, oh, you and I must have the conversation, right?
Yes, definitely.
We did have a conversation. And actually, I did a bit of Feng Shui into your office as well, didn't I?
Oh, she did. Claire was amazing. And I missed my office because I was just sharing that I moved over the past 48 hours. I had to leave that office. So we have a whole new landscape in here for you to come help Feng Shui and get it all ready and energized. So yes.
A brand new canvas. So Lauran, you've been doing wellness and well-being for quite a few years.
Yes.
And then there's a little guy here called Peter. Hello, Peter.
Hi.
And so how did the two of you meet? Because Lauran, you're in North Carolina, I believe. That's right, yeah?
Right.
Peter, you're in the UK. So there's a bit of water between the two of you, right?
A lot of water.
A lot of water.
I'm in Devon in the southwest of the UK.
So definitely a lot of water. So do you want just to, Lauran, just first maybe introduce yourself, and then Peter, you can introduce yourself and say, and then tell us what's the story behind the two of you getting together.
Absolutely. So I'm Lauran McLaughlin, and I live in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And yes, I've been in the wellness sector of just overall well-being and in Chapel Hill for the past 15 years. And yes, I met Peter. This was one of the silver linings of COVID that, and we met by way of being on, I was a guest on his podcast last year. And so we just struck a beautiful chord, and we're still plucking away here and super excited about what we have to share.
Excellent. So Peter, you've been doing quite a bit yourself in terms of well-being. You're an NLP practitioner. I believe you and I share common passion for essential oils as well. We were talking about essential oils.
Well, 30 years in the health and wellness space. I have a great commitment to lifelong learning and aligning to that learning, so I can apply it in a practical way that helps and gives value to a lot of people. So I'm not. I deliver. I amplify. I work within CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. I'm doing my last year in psychotherapy. I had a short hiatus from that, but I've taken it up again because my tutor was saying, you got to do this. You're really good. Come on, get on there. So I'm very interested in that side of things. And, really, I was a shiatsu practitioner and a massage therapist. So I used to use a lot of essential oils. And it was great because I used to just make people smell them, like get a range of them and they go, oh, that one. Right. That was just the way I did it. It was like, oh, geranium. Oh yeah, that's for me. Right. So, and the effects of those oils are incredible on the nervous system. It can induct parasympathetic response, or, you can get more energy rising. So I was very much into energy medicine. I still am. And I still do a lot of research into that. It's kind of my hobby, really. And what else? I've been a master NLP practitioner. I've been a personal trainer. I'm an exercise referral specialist. So I work alongside the medical profession with diabetes and obesity and many other comorbidities of that. And then I met Lauran on this podcast. Well, I was operating, and then there was a kind of a resonance there. You know, there was a compatibility of alignment in our value structure and in our thinking. So I don't know if Lauran wants to pick up from there.
There definitely was an alignment, and our backgrounds were just so similar. You know, given COVID, it shifted our careers. You know, we were both brick and mortar before, you know, pre-COVID, whereby I had my own studio for 15 years, and I'm a master certified Pilates instructor, and I too I'm brain health certified. So very much aligned with the value structure that Peter had. So we both came together, and we have co-founded Conscious7, and super excited to share about Conscious7 and the MOM method. It's the Mind Over Mood method, which is an online course and a coaching platform. So
well, let's do one step at a time.
Yes.
Okay, so Conscious7. Go ahead. What is Conscious7? Because there's quite a lot of things inside. It's really a personalized. You're personalizing that health, mental, emotional well-being together, aren't you?
All 7 pillars of health and well-being we cover.
Okay.
It's all encompassing. So it's not this siloed approach to your well-being, whereby you go and you do, let's say, meditation, or you go to the gym, or you go do yoga, or you go do. So we bring it all together to encompass the whole life, because without the whole, you're going to have falling parts that are going to have you fall off track, which have you stumbling into the possibility of living with anxiety and then starting to struggle in certain areas in your life. So we look at the whole so that we can have each wheel of the whole operating. So you are running smoothly and without falling into some of those, you know, the potholes in the road.
So Peter, what are the 7s? Come on, stop making us, you know, wait for this. I'm excited. I want to know more.
Salivating, just, you know, kind of creating a thirst here. Well, it's looking at all the dimensions of, you know, the human experience, just being human. So we look at quantum health principles. So these are things like thought choices. These are things like food choices, nourishment choices. And nourishment choices could be something as simple as what kind of environments do you operate in? Yeah. So we look at those particular aspects. We look at the mentality. We look at the psychology. We look at the biology of a person. We look at how a person is arranged by looking at their unique brain chemistry. So some of these principles, when you kind of put them together, you get the holistic,
right?
Okay, the whole, which is what health means, so that we're not categorizing something into a department that goes, okay, we're just going to look at exercise here. As an example, when we take one of these principles, these 7 principles, which is your unique brain chemistry, we had a client several years ago who could not lose weight. And the trainer at the time was saying to her, come on, do HIIT training. That's high intensity training on the treadmill. She used to say to me, I hate it. You know, I met her, we were having a discussion about it. And I said, well, what's your exercise program look like? She said, well, I really hate running. I said, well, are you losing weight? And she said, no. Now, the brain doesn't like to lose anything. So even the term, which the advertising industry likes, losing, the brain will go, you're not losing anything, right? So I said to her, have you ever had your brain chemistry profile done? And she said, no. So we went through some questions with her, and she had a brain chemistry profile done. And what it turned out was that she was much more serotonin based.
Right.
And the activities.
So for people who don't know what serotonin base is.
Right. Okay. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter in the brain.
Okay.
It's also known as the neurotransmitter of inner peace. It creates, Okay, when you wake up in the morning, you've got your sympathetic nervous system, your accelerator pedal. You move into the day. You're doing things.
Dopamine.
As the evening comes in, you start to put the brake on. You're parasympathetic. You release more serotonin. Most of serotonin is in the gut,
right?
Not in the brain.
Yes.
Okay, but there's a gut-brain axis which we won't go into now. But so. Back to this story, and obviously pull me up if I need to explain anything. I spoke to a trainer and he said, well, it's worked for all my other clients. So I said to her at the time, let's do a brain chemistry profile and see exactly where you're at. So it turned out she was 95% serotonin based. Now we have all those. We have serotonin, we have dopamine, we have norepinephrine, we have all of these and many more neurotransmitters. But like your fingerprint, everybody has a unique brain chemistry.
Okay.
Out of 7 billion people, nobody has the same brain chemistry.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So because she was much more serotonin based, we looked at serotonin type activities.
Right. Yes.
Going for a walk. And you might think, what's it got to do with losing weight? Well, she had a dog. And she used to take her dog out and she was doing a bit of power walking. Mm-hmm. So a little bit more energy, but not too much because the dopamine activity would make her anxious. People who are more serotonin based, okay, if you give them too much excitement, they get anxiety.
Right. This is it. It's too much dopamine.
Yeah, it's too much. So as he was putting her through this, she was getting anxious about not losing weight. She was getting anxious about doing these exercises she didn't like doing. She thought she had to do it because she was listening to a qualified person, right? But didn't apply the 7 principles. Because obviously, that's not his fault. He didn't know. So once she started to do that, within 2 weeks of giving her serotonin-based activities, walks, Pilates, yoga, right? A little bit of mindfulness, meditation, looking at more serotonin-based foods, her weight dropped off.
Wow.
She could not believe it.
Wow.
Right? She was like, how does this happen? We're tweaking your brain chemistry. Now, we tweak our brain chemistry every day. You drink that cup of coffee, that's tweaking your brain chemistry. But
it's always changing. Exactly.
Yeah. That's what you were saying, Lauren. That's that mind of the mood, isn't it?
Exactly. And it is, just even from social media and advertisements are always pushing and pushing. You need to go hard. And it really is quite the opposite. And that's why I was so, Joseph Pilates, who he called it contrology, which is so much a part of this holistic way of living. And now it's termed Pilates, which it's okay, but it is more about slowing down. You don't have to go pound the pavement. And actually, as Peter was just sharing with this, a particular client, that she was going too hard, and that is producing way too much cortisol in a person who already has this heightened level of the stress hormone, which has been termed the death hormone. But that is why women, especially over 40, start to struggle and they go, why can't I get rid of this belly fat? I mean, if we took a poll, it would be like, right? I know. And I get it, because you do start to, with the shifting of, into menopause in the latter years, you do start to change in your body shape. But then women start to stress over it. And so their first thought is, let me just go run and pound it hard and do these HIIT classes. In actuality, they're doing more harm and they're adding to those inches. So these are some of the areas that Peter and I help educate through our years of training and education to re-educate. And that's what we are wanting to bring forward with our mom method, as well as with our group coaching.
Okay, and mom?
Mind over mood method.
Okay. Right.
Mind over mood.
I'm going to bring Dad along pretty soon, but
what do you do? Obviously, we talk about state of being and personal state of being, the way our thinking affect our emotions, affect our behavior, and vice versa. They all affect each other one way or the other. And so, is that kind of the idea when you talk about mind over mood?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So, as Peter was just indicating a bit earlier, in terms of the various maybe inner alarms that we have in us, and they come out either through, anxiety, let's use that, which is just so prevalent today, and especially with the state of our world, right? It's just the numbers are just off the charts. So we help to balance or have a better understanding of what those alarms are within us, because we know when we're hungry, we know when we're thirsty, but so many of us don't know how to read those internal alarms, as Peter was indicating, from the nervous system. When you're in that fight or flight, most of us don't know how to regulate that side of our nervous system. And so that is what we help, again, educate on how to read those inner alarms that we all have, so that you can regulate and bring yourself back into balance. And so that's what we do with the mom course.
So do you find, Peter, do you find more women or men, or a mixture of both? Do you have kind of clients from both perspectives, or do you think there's more of a woman over a certain age, and that's kind of more inclined to be more affected by it?
Well, I think right across the board. I mean, I'll just go broad and then come back to your question. Right across the board, it affects so many people.
Right.
Now, if we look at from a societal point of view, millennials, it's hitting millennials because of there's this advancing technology, which is creating a certain configuration in the brain, because we are analog by design, right? But what we're doing is we're trying to configure ourselves to be digital, right? So somebody sitting there playing games all day, not moving their body, and staring at a screen all the time, that can create further down the line. It sets up the theatre for weight gain, for a certain, it affects your eyes. It affects so many different things. But they're setting themselves up for certain pathologies, which we're not sure what they're going to be just yet. But obesity is one of them, because as you're watching something, and you see this with people, it's like people on the it's like the animals on the Serengeti. What people then get food. They watch a screen, they go like this, they watch the screen. And it's like the animals at the watering hole. They're like this, drinking, they're looking around.
Right,
it's very similar. Right?
It's a great example.
Right, but what happens then? And the animals are doing that naturally because they're on alert for any kind of advancing threat. But there's no threat there. So you're not mindful about what you're eating. You're just engaged in the screen. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect is that, yes, men are suffering from anxiety. Leaders, CEOs are suffering from anxiety. But because of the male kind of, the male act, and the boys don't cry, right? They're reluctant to talk about it because it shows weakness.
Right.
Then we've got women, who are perimenopausal, and women who are menopausal and postmenopausal. So the 40+ women who come to us who are looking to reinvent themselves. They're looking for a better version of themselves, because in old times, once you hit menopause, and this sounds really terrible, please, but I'm going to say it, is that you're kind of used up.
Right.
Right?
Well, yeah, it is pretty terrible.
That was the thinking. You're
right.
You can't bear children. You're dried out. You're tapped out. Oh, right.
Literally.
You know,
So maybe I'm going to stop your streaming now.
but I think because women are more open to talk about these things, but what tends to happen, I'll give you an example. I had a client who used to buy, I don't know how to, £2,000 Chanel bags.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she would show it to me. But what she was doing, and she'd go and meditate and all the rest of it. But this is what is called spiritual bypass, because what she was doing all these things, and she was saying to people, "Oh yes, I'm practicing mindfulness, and I'm adorning myself. I'm looking after myself and putting myself on the top of the priority list." But what she wasn't looking at was her thoughts, was her behaviors.
Yeah.
So she was bypassing that to use all those things that she was doing, where people were going, "Oh, you're meditating. Oh, that's good. You're practicing mindfulness. That's really good." So there's that aspect. So it's mostly, at the moment, it's mostly women who are 40, 45 plus who are coming to us with, and it's not just one particular thing.
Right.
And this is where the 7 principles come in, because it's brain chemistry, it's anxiety, it's menopause. So the biopsychosocial spiritual approach, and I don't mean spiritual religious, spiritual in terms of the definition of spiritual for me is education.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And education has the 5 vowels in it, A-E-I-O-U, which not many words do, which it forms the basis of our language. So we give them the A-E-I-O-U in a spiritual context that's right for them. So they then, like the client who lost that weight with her brain chemistry, that's the approach we have with those women who are 40 plus. We want to get more men involved. You know, I had a client who was a CEO who was all about the bottom line, and, you know, we got to just do this and fire them and da-da-da. Now, he was a lovely, lovely guy, but what he had developed, he developed a superiority act because he had an inferiority complex.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
And what that is masked by is this kind of energy where people fear them, right? Because again, he's not looking at himself. And eventually, I was with this guy for 14 years as a client.
Wow.
And it took 8 years for him to start to look within.
Right.
It was the crisis that got him there, and it changed his life.
Right.
It transformed his family life. It transformed his environment. But that's using the 7 principles of the mind over mood method.
And Lauran, do you think that people actually come to you thinking about something and actually it's something else?
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. I think that happens more often than not. And that's for all of us, you know, it just, you know, even with our body, when you have a pain, let's say your shoulder is hurting, more than likely, well, it isn't related to actually the shoulder. It actually is related to another part. So that is what we help our clients discover, is where actually is that pain coming from? What, you know, so they come forward with, let's just continue with the weight theme. Then just as we were mentioning, their approach to that is completely kind of out of balance. So yes, so that is more often the case, that yes, whatever they come to us with, more than likely it is something else. Yeah.
And you know, a great example of that, you just reminded me, Lauran, I had a client who came in who said, "Oh, I've got such stiff shoulders. I can't even hold on to the you know, the handle on the tube. I can't raise my shoulder." And I said, "So what have you done for it?" She goes, "I've had physio, I've had massage." And it wasn't her shoulder. It was her scapula. Right? It was
scapula? Sorry, there's the French in me. I'm like, scapula?
Shoulder blades.
The wings on the back.
Yeah.
The shoulder.
All right, where are we going there?
It was actually her scapula which weren't working in the right way. They were working in the opposite way. I'm not going to go into the physiology of it, but once we addressed that, oh, she had full circumduction, full movement in her shoulder, because your shoulder can do 22,000 different movements, right?
Yeah.
Right. But you see, so by applying different principles and different methodologies and approaches, we were able to help that client.
Wow.
But if we just went, oh, it's your shoulder, and let's just massage your shoulder, it's never what people present.
Absolutely.
Because it's the subconscious mind that we need to unravel. That's where the juice is.
Yeah.
Right? Because what happens is people take things in consciously. I see you, you see me. That goes into the semi-conscious, where you either neutralize it or it gets expedited into the unconscious if you don't neutralize it. So I go, oh, I know Claire, I know Lauren, I feel psychologically safe. That's absolutely fine. But if you don't neutralize it, it gets buried in the subconscious. And the subconscious is like the crew on your ship.
Yeah.
Right? They start to practice mutiny, and they're shouting at the captain. We can't hear them.
And that is why, that is why practices like Pilates, like yoga, where practiced correctly, that's why you keep hearing people say, oh my gosh, I've never felt better. That was the strongest I ever was. That was the healthiest period I have ever lived when I was doing Pilates. I heard that over and over and over. And just like Peter was saying, that's where the light and the juice is, because actually they were looking within. They thought they were there just doing a workout. But when we got them to actually do the movements correctly, which is being fully attentive to the inner self, that's when they go, oh my gosh, I feel amazing. I feel taller. I feel great. That's the juice. That's the magic. Yeah.
And people don't do yoga or Pilates or exercise because they want to do yoga or Pilates or work out. They want connection.
They want connection.
That's really what that's, if you look at what's actually happening, you're getting their body to work in a unified, self-regulating way, because you're a self-regulating organism, as distinct from self-suppression, right? Because what most people do is they go into self-suppression rather than self-regulation. That depends on the choices you make. So when you're doing yoga or Pilates, people will say, yeah, I go to Pilates. Yeah, I do Iyengar yoga. I do Raja yoga or whatever it is. I practice meditation, right? But what they're actually doing is they're saying, I want connection. Right?
So do you actually, does your program, do you actually do the Pilates class or the yoga class with them? Do you have like that online program that you have? It also includes some of the yoga classes that you do.
Well, specific to each individual. So we truly take each client, even in our group coaching, and we do somewhat of their brain chemical profiling, right? So we specifically design movements for each client. So yes, there will be some Pilates movements. There will be some yoga movements. There will be some we will prescribe walking. There will be movements in our program, and we will have videos, but they will be specific to each person's profile. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. It makes real sense. Well, so if anybody wants to know more, where do they go, and how do you share your love with everybody?
Well, yes, you can go to Conscious7.com. And right there, if you really want the love, you can go to meetwithlauranandpeter.us, meetwithlauranandpeter.us, and you can schedule an appointment with us, and we will chat with you.
And, it's important to say that if somebody schedules a call with us, it's not a sales call in disguise.
No.
Right. It's a conversation to see if we're the right fit for that client and they're the right fit for the program.
Yeah. What did you say? Meetwithlauranandpeter.com.
.us.
.us.
.us. So that's kind of a URL link, and you actually got your calendar there.
The calendar will pop right up, and you can schedule. We would love to chat with anyone.
Brilliant. I've just put it in a chat, so if anybody wants to get in there, they can just click on it. And please just, click on the Conscious7.com as well. Go and have a look. And you are both on social media as well. So you're both on LinkedIn and Facebook and all that kind of thing. So, go and check them out, Lauran and Peter. And this just amazing. I just love the chemistry kind of analytic. That's just, that's my jazz. I really love that. Maybe we'll have to do it next time. And we're going to continue that conversation. I know that, not this year, but next year, you're kind of planning a little retreat somewhere very, very exciting. Do you want just to tell us just what, in a couple of lines, what it is, and then we'll just say goodbye to everybody?
Absolutely. We're so excited to bring the retreats in Italy forward again. We are, we had to postpone this year because of COVID and the Delta variant, but 2022, we are filled with retreat options, and we're super excited. So stay tuned to our website, because we're launching a new website that should be live next week. Ooh. That will have all of our experiences, where you can get all the Conscious7 juice in Italy.
That sounds amazing.
Well, and it's important to say that we've already had interest, I'm serious. We've already had interest for next year, because people are looking to book for next year. Mm-hmm. And I know there's a few already confirmed bookings already.
Absolutely.
Who actually, paid their money and said, yep, I want to come next year.
Doing it. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, people are ready to travel. People are ready to get out of the COVID, bubble we've been in. So Claire, this has been amazing. Thank you always. I can't wait to have you come Feng Shui this blank canvas in here. Always so fun to work with you.
Oh, brilliant. I really, really appreciate you coming in and sharing your passion. It's amazing what you're doing. So please just go and connect with Lauran and Peter and check out their website, and we'll see you very, very soon, right?
Yes, definitely.
I'll be in.
Thank you,
Claire.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.